All right, family. 500K Trey tapping in. And today I'm going to break down this gold futures long that I took. I had a predetermined passive limit long. It was a beautiful scale, a beautiful high probable setup that I spotted, and I did not. I gave up. I gave up on it because I was fearful of losing my predetermined risk, which doesn't make no sense to me now that the trade is done. However, I'm going to break down right now the actual order flow that took place because after the trade was done, I went back and studied. And when I went back and studied, I noticed things that I didn't notice when it was live. And this is only going to help me moving forward. And hopefully, it can help you with this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the breakdown. Okay, so if we go to the actual order flow, I know this looks like a lot right now, but I'm going to make it all make sense. Okay. So let's start from when I actually scaled it out. Okay. So I scaled it out this morning. Right here. Okay. So this was at 5:40 a.m. So I live in LA, so this is 8:42 a.m. New York time, but 5:40 a.m. Okay, so we had a high and we had a low, and price ran. Okay, and we came into this single stacked imbalance and we were having a hard time breaking it. And I said, okay, if price can come back into this zone, okay, I'll be interested in taking the EQ, which is at 425, and I'll give myself a 30-point stop just right underneath this zone. Um, and I'll be interested in taking that. Okay, this was at 540. All right. This was what the actual limit looked like long. All right, so price was trading around the 430s. I said, okay, if we can get sellers to come back in down to this zone, I'll be interested in taking at 425, and I had my limit long. All right, now let's get into the actual order flow. So price came in to my level at 15 minutes after the cash open. Okay, so at 6:45, price immediately hit my limit order long. Okay, now I got out maybe like around, I don't know, around here. I only made like what, 60, 70, something like 80 some. Well, I apologize. I made $500 today. Okay. I made $500, but I want to break down what actually happened today in the order flow. So we came down here, all right, at 6:45 with a negative 350 delta. Okay. Then buyers came up. I apologize. Buyers stepped back in. We brought the market just slightly above that EQ line, which is at 425, which is my entry. Okay, then sellers came back down and we swept that just slightly. Okay. And now we're just ping ponging back and forth. But this was the first thing that I noticed after, the trade was done. So we got a strong delta print that reclaimed this high. Okay, so we came down, we created a high, then we came back down, swept this. Okay, and then we came up and swept it. Now we have a strong delta print at 88. Okay, and the max delta was 114. So that means this candle maintained its strength the whole candle. Okay, the whole entire volume of that candle was 111. I apologize, was 302. Okay, now the strongest that the buyers were in that candle was 114, and the delta closed at 88. So it was relatively around the same area that buyers maintained their strength. Okay, then we broke this at 425.7. Okay, and we created a high. All right, we created this high and then we came down, we came back up, and now we have relatively equal lows. Okay, now this was the first sign of strength that I noticed, right, when I started studying after the trade was done, how buyers came and reclaimed and broke this level with the candle closure above. This was an official 1 minute change of character. Okay, when we broke this high at 26.8, and this was the first sign that I noticed that the delta printed positive 68 and the max delta was 70. Okay, so that means buyers broke with strength and maintained their strength in this candle, showing strength that buyers are interested in buying from this level. Okay, so these relatively equal lows. The very next candle was strong, negative 42, and then we had a negative 11. We came and swept these relatively equal lows, and we came back down to my entry again, okay, which is at 425. All right, now we're at negative 111, and then the next candle was only a positive 22. Now the min delta was negative 54, but it closed at negative 22, so that means they gave back some strength. The strongest the sellers were in this candle was at a negative 54, but the delta only closed at a negative 22, which means that they gave back some of their strength and buyers were starting to come back in. Okay, then we swept that. All right, now in this next candle, okay, so we came up, we got this 1 minute change of character with a candle closure above. We swept those relatively equal lows. Okay, we came up, and then we swept that low again. Okay, and then this is when the buyers really established their strength, because the delta printed 64 and the max delta was 64, so they're both equal. So that means this whole candle, buyers maintained their strength and there was no weakness in it. Buyers maintained their strength as we broke above this level. Okay, we pushed up higher, and then we came and swept this high. Okay, which was now an official break of structure, which is indicating that the market is starting to shift. Right, the order flow is changing, so it went from bearish order flow to, now as you can see, the brown tags are starting to print bullish now. So this is what I noticed when I started studying. Okay, so price came up and they swept this. Now this was the entry. So if we go to the actual candlesticks, right, if we go to the actual price action, so this is where price came up. We have this break of structure. Okay, and then price came and swept these relatively equal lows. Okay, so these were the equal lows that I was talking about. Okay, so let's just put this resting liquidity. Where is it at? Resting liquidity. Okay, price came and swept that. Okay, we had a move up. Okay, and then we broke that, and then we came back up and we swept this. We swept this high, which would be considered a 1 minute official change of character. Okay, so the order flow is switching. It went from bearish to, now it's switching to bullish. Okay, this is what I noticed in the order flow. Okay, so this was the first candle when it printed 64 delta positive, and the max delta was 64. Okay, we swept that, and then we came back down into this level at 26.3. Now this would have been the perfect entry. Okay, if I could go back to do it over moving forward, this would have been the perfect entry. All right, we're not trying to catch a fall in life with a preset passive limit long. Okay, we could have just waited until order flow switched in our favor. Okay, because it came down in here aggressively with negative 350. Okay, so this level right here, 26.3, 26.3, this is this candle. So we came up, we had that swept that, and then we came up. Buyers initiated their strength. Okay, we came and swept this high at 27.8. That was the entry right there. Give ourselves a 30-point stop covering the low. All right, that was the entry right there. When price swept this high, this was the entry. 26.3. 26.3 is this candle. So we came up, all right, and 16 delta 31. Okay, now the strongest this candle was at 58, but it only printed a print of 4, and it was, so that means the buyers gave back a lot of their strength in this candle, but we were coming back to retest this level. This was the entry. Okay, because in the next candle we printed at a positive 28 and 54. Okay, and then we got this official break of structure, okay, which printed at, the delta printed a strong print of 90, and the strongest that the candle ever was at one point in time was at 109, and the min delta even printed positive. So this was definitely confirmation that buyers are officially interested and this market is moving up. As you can see, the brown tags, which are the point of controls, they're switching. Okay, the order flow has now shifted to bullish. Okay, and as you can see, well, the CVD doesn't really reflect that, but that's okay. So this right here was the entry, okay, at 26.3, gave ourselves a 30-point stop, and that would have been covering this low right here. Okay, and then, so we had this break of structure. Buyers came and broke that high. Okay, now we're just retesting the overall of that zone. Now we're officially on top of that zone now. So what is this time? This is at 7:17. Okay, so at 7:17, let me see. 7:17. So that would have been right here. Right here. So we came to retest this side of the top of this zone right here. Okay, remember, from this high to this low. Okay, so we got this 1 minute change of character. Okay, then we had another break of structure. Price came to retest this zone one more time. Okay, and then we broke up to the upside. Now, this is how I should have managed it. So this would have been our entry, okay? And then we have, once price broke this high with the confirmed 1 minute candle closure above, we could have moved our first, we could have moved it to break even. We would have just said just above break even just to cover the cost of commissions, right? Okay, price came down, pretty scary pullback, right? Pretty scary pullback, because that pullback was, no, that wasn't. That pullback was for 40 points. Okay, but once we broke this high with the confirmed 1 minute candle closure above, this would have been our first trailing stop loss to break even. Okay, price came all the way down, which is scary, but listen, this is why we are trading. We have to stick to our trade. This is what I know next time. Stick to your trade. Accept the risk, right? Accept the risk. Now, at this point, it's not even a risk, right? Because you're already broken even. So it's damn near a free trade now. So when price broke this high with the confirmed candle closure above, then we could have trailed it to underneath this stop. This would have been our second trailing stop loss. Okay. Now price continued to rally up. Now we officially hit, when price hit 0.6, that's officially 3R. That's 90 points. We had a 30-point stop loss. When price hit 0.6, it's officially 3R. That's 90 points in profit. Okay. So price hit that. Okay. We came back down, and then we broke it. Now, once we got this break of structure, we trail our stop loss to this level, which is at 32.8. All right. Then we hit 4R, which is 0.8. 4R is 120 points. 4R. Okay. We almost hit 5R, which is 150 points. Okay. Then price came. So right now we're trailing our stop to the third stop loss, and price is floating around 40.8, 440. Okay, we came up, we came at, and I would immediately then you can trail it to the fourth stop loss. I apologize, the fourth trailing stop loss. Price came up and then swept that, and that would have been stopped up right there at 37.5. So we could have made roughly around 3.7R. So this was all spotted in the order flow. All right. Now I know moving forward to pay better. It's just a good lesson, right? Costly lessons are the best ones. And it helps me to be able to pay attention, right? The volatility, I was focusing on the volatility. It was so much, going in our favor than dramatic pullbacks, right? Going in our favor than another dramatic pullback. And I closed due to fear of seeing profit, and then it closed out. So this is a good lesson moving forward for myself, right? As I go back and I continue to study this, and hopefully anybody else that this can help, right? When you have a predetermined risk, okay, stick to it. Stick to it. Like we have to grow emotionally, okay? So, um, this is what the trade looked like before I even got tagged in. Okay, we were writing this in internal range liquidity, okay? And price came all the way down here, tagged me in, and ran. It was a beautiful trade. Beautiful trade. Okay. Look, price did exactly what I said. Came down, came up. We retested that level one more time, and then it ran all the way to our target. I missed out. Okay. However, it's a great lesson. Costly lessons are the best ones because now we know moving forward to pay attention and accept the risk. This is why we trade. There is no gain without risk. We have to accept the risk. I have to accept the risk. And it's just a great lesson moving forward. I'm telling you, we still going to come out on top. All right. We cannot fail. We cannot fail under no circumstance. Hard work, dedication. We will not fail. We are coming out on top. This week, we're still profitable. We're in the green. We're still going to continue to print. All right. So this is the Confluence Profile 500K. Okay. Now remember, when it comes to our profession, okay, our profession is to manage the downside cost of printing high side returns of money consistently through any market conditions. Done correctly, well, an abundance of fruit awaits us. Godspeed. If you haven't already followed me, okay, make sure you follow me on TradingView at Trade High Power. Okay, make sure you click the link and like button in the subscription. Follow me here on YouTube as I will be dropping more content, and definitely follow me on Telegram. Join the group, okay, at Black House 500K.